Hi and welcome to Knitting Blooms. Today is October 1st and it is episode 23. Welcome to October and pretty much welcome to winter here in Michigan. It is cold today and it was cold yesterday. I could not believe the drop in temperature yesterday. I went to work with a short-sleeved shirt on, and when I left work the temperature had dropped, I want to say, at least 10 or 15 degrees. It was crazy. And it was like 45 degrees when I left work. It was cold. And then this morning, I ran my first 5K, and it was cold. I want to say it was 45 degrees this morning as well. It was okay once we got running, but until that point, it was pretty cold. And but I had a good time. I had a really good time doing it, and other than the weather, I think I might stick to springtime runs or summer runs and maybe not so much fall runs, but we'll see. We'll see how addicted to it I get. But I had a really good time. It was a lot of fun, and I'm sure that I will be doing races in the future. I said last week when I started the podcast that it was going to be a short episode, and then I think it ended up being close to an hour. I think today is going to be a short episode, but we'll see what happens. The Podcaster Challenge is over. However, you still have one more day to vote. You still have through tomorrow, and maybe this will get posted later tonight, but hopefully you'll watch this through October 2nd. Hopefully you'll watch it before voting gets closed, but you have through October 2nd to vote for your favorite podcaster for the different categories. I've kind of looked at them a little bit about the voting and stuff like that, but not too much. I've kind of been in a little bit of an abyss away from my knitting and crafting this week. I don't know why. I've been doing a lot of reading and playing Sims. Bad, Tina. And I haven't been doing a whole lot of knitting. But I've also been kind of tired. Earlier in the week, Tuesday and Wednesday, I just was worn out. I don't know what it was. I didn't work out either of those days because I just didn't feel up to it. So I took the time off, and because I was trying to get ready for this run today, I said, you know, it's okay that I can take a day off. It's not a big deal. So I did. I took Tuesday and Wednesday off on my workout, and but I was just really tired, so I went to bed pretty early those days, and I just spent a lot of time reading. I didn't do a whole lot of knitting or spinning those nights. But anyway, the Podcaster Challenge is over, but I am instituting another challenge for myself. It's a personal challenge, but it's extremely necessary. On Ravelry, in your stash page, you can download an Excel spreadsheet, and then from all your stash that you have in Ravelry. You can download it into an Excel spreadsheet and then calculate the number of yardage that you have in your stash. Well, with all my purchases from Stitches and all my previous purchases, I have a lot of yarn. Too much yarn, in fact. I did that download, and I found out that I have close to, if not well over, 150,000 yards of yarn. And let me tell you, that does not include leftover balls of stuff that I've had projects that I just didn't use the whole thing, or balls that sometimes I'll just buy one ball just to play with it. Like if I'm thinking I'm going to do some designing or something, I might buy one ball and just to play with, to knit up, to see how I like the fabric. It does not include my sock yarn skeins, which I have a lot of that. It does not include crochet cotton that I have. It doesn't include a good portion of the baby yarn that I have. I have a good stash of yarn that I use specifically for knitting baby garments. And it doesn't include a good portion of that. Some of the baby yarn is in my Ravelry stash, but not all of it. And last but not least, it does not include any of my fiber because I have no idea how much yardage that's going to be once I spin it up. So 150,000 yards. That's insane. What was I thinking? I don't know. I have no idea. But I need to spin that up, or I need to knit it up. I figured out at the rate that I'm going right now, I am going to knit this year an estimated 22,000 yards. Okay? That's pretty good. However, of that 22,000 yards, and right now I think I'm about just over 16,000 yards. Of that 16,000 that I've knit this year, 7,700 of it has been knitting for hire. So that's not coming out of my stash. That doesn't help. And at this rate, if I'm knitting mostly, you know, more than, well, about 50% from my stash and 50% from knitting for hire, it's going to take me some 10 years to knit through my stash. That's crazy. It's insane. So I need to have a challenge to see how much of my stash I can knit up. And I don't know if I should set a goal of a certain percentage or a certain amount of yardage or what exactly. But there is going to be some kind of challenge regarding my stash. I mean, the stash dash and the stash down did help because I pushed myself to knit more during that time period. However, I did do a lot of knitting for hire during that time period as well. And I don't foresee stopping the knitting for hire because it's nice to have that extra cash. It's not a huge money maker, but it's nice to have that extra cash. So I figure at a rate of about 11,000, if I say I'm going to knit 50% from stash and 50% for knitting for hire, it's going to take me a long time to knit through that yarn. So I need to get busy. And so I don't know, like I said, I don't know how I'm going to do it exactly. I'll work out the details, but I was just amazed at how much yardage I have to work through. And I'm going to have to pause for 1 second because I forgot to bring over my slippers. Hang tight. Okay, sorry about that. So, the slippers that have been waiting in the wings to be felted finally got partially felted. They're not done because they're still too big for my feet. But they did get felted partially, both of them. And I am happy with the feel. It feels very luxurious on my hand, but this is the Knit Pick City Tweed DK. I think I held it triple. Pretty sure that I went back and held it triple. I do like how it came out. Again, like I said, the slippers are still a little bit big and I have to refelt them. I ran these through my washer for 6 cycles. 6! And I think like after 3 cycles I refreshed the water and put more hot water and drained the water that was in there and put more hot water in there so that it was still nice and hot, because it took me an hour and 15 minutes or an hour and a half to get through 6 cycles, and my cycle is like 15 minutes, or maybe it's a little bit more than 15 minutes, and then it stops because I usually leave the top up so that it doesn't go into the spin cycle, so I can catch it before I can before it goes that far. And I know my washer takes a long time to felt things, but this was crazy. This was longer than any other time. But I do plan on hopefully finishing to felt them this weekend, maybe tomorrow. We'll see how it goes. It just seems like it takes so long, and then you can't do any other laundry during that time, so it's hard to get it done. But I probably will refelt them again very soon, so that I can wear them, because I am wearing holes in my current slippers. So I did attempt to do the felting. Didn't quite get 100%. They're about the same size. One of them's a little bit bigger, and I think it's more, this one on this side is a little bit wider. I don't know, for whatever reason it's not sucking in as much as the other one, but I know I'm going to refelt them. I like my slippers really, really tight, so it does take quite a bit of felting to get it done. I told my husband that we need a new washer, so maybe we'll be getting a new washer at some point, but probably not for a while. So I'll have to deal with what I have. So those are the slippers. And guess what? I did 1 square on my sock yarn blanket. 1, that's it. Let me find out which one it was. Well, I guess it's further this way. Yes. Here's the 1 square that I did. That's it. I had high intentions of doing more, but at least I got 1 done. I sat down and I did this, I think it was last Saturday. I sat down and did this square. And that was it. That was the last time I worked on it. So, but at least I got 1 square done. I'm going to try and do at least 1 square. I know, what was it, 2 months ago or something, I said I was going to do 1 square a day to have 7 squares done a week. Yeah, that didn't happen. So, my goal is to do 1 square. I put a stitch marker so I remembered which one it was. Excuse me. So that's it. 1 square done. Definitely not reasonable progress, but some progress nonetheless. And that brings me to the Modified Lady Eleanor, which I also made some progress on this week. Again, not a huge amount, but something. I had hoped to make progress on all of my projects this week, but that just didn't happen. I had high intentions, but you know, sometimes it doesn't always go as planned. This one, and I'm right in the middle of a row, but this one I did 1 full row all the way across, and I have a few blocks over here, 3 more on the next row. So again, not a lot of progress, but definitely more than I've done in the last few weeks, because before the Podcaster Challenge, I had not worked on it for a while, and then the Podcaster Challenge came up, and I didn't work on anything else besides the bears and the Podcaster Challenge. So I'm hoping to make better progress on this one this week. So, and I'm experimenting with some different ways of picking up stitches, so I'm hoping it doesn't screw up the whole look of the shawl once it's done. Hopefully it won't be you won't be able to really tell the difference, but we'll see. I'll try some different ways of picking up stitches, and then if I don't like how it's looking compared to the rest of it, I could always rip it out. It's not a big deal. This is one of the projects that I really want to get done and off the needles, because it has been on the needles for quite some time. I almost want to work on it more than Bacardi, because Bacardi is a newer project and this one's older, but I really enjoy Bacardi. However, I didn't work on Bacardi at all this week. I did, however, work on the On Point sweater, knitting for hire. And not too much progress on this one either. Here we go. Here's my stitch marker, and I got about that much done. I want to say I probably have about 6 or 7 yards, no, not 6 or 7 yards, 6 or 7 inches to finish this front up. And the front will be twisted into a, kind of, it'll have like the twist, like a Mobius kind of thing, but, it'll be twisted in the front, and then the sleeves will be picked up on the edges. I did, however, pull the front or the back out, and I was measuring it again, and I'm thinking I might have to take out the cast off and add another 1/2 inch or 1 inch. I'm just afraid that I cast off a little bit too soon, and I don't know how well this yarn is going to react to being ripped out. I do know that when I tried to do that before, it didn't react very well. However, I think if I take delicate time to take it out, I might be able to do it, but I'm going to measure it again and see. It's only, like I said, I want to say it's like 1/2 inch too small, but when I stretch it out, I'm definitely getting the inches that I need with a little bit of stretch. So I'm thinking I might be okay, but I just have to make sure that I'm going to be okay with that before I pick up the stitches for the sleeves, because once the sleeves are picked up, there's no going back from there. So I'll have to measure it again and see if I'm comfortable with where I am with just a little bit of give, and go from there. Hopefully I won't have to take it out, because that will be a major project to do. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is all of the knitting that I did this week. I didn't even put down the other things on my show notes, but I did not work on the Bacardi. I did not work on the, I did work on the Sofa Saver. I did not bring it over here. I did work on the Sofa Saver for a little bit. That's the crocheted project that I'm doing for the cats. And I found out that Sammy is not a yarn snob. She's the one that always likes to sit on my lap when I'm knitting. And it worked out perfectly, because I was working, at that time, I was working on my sock yarn blanket. And obviously I don't want her laying on that and kneading in that and, you know, pulling up stitches. So I grabbed the Sofa Saver, even though it's not done, it's just a little strip. I laid it across my lap, and she came and laid on top of it. She was extremely happy, and I was so glad that she was happy, because I got to knit. She was happy just laying on my lap. I was happy because I could still knit over top of her. It was perfect. So I think that little Sofa Saver is not going to necessarily be a Sofa Saver. It's going to be I need to knit time, and she can still lay on the yarn and be happy. So that was a good thing this week to find out, because I was hating the fact that I didn't know if she was going to take to that yarn or not. And she was perfectly fine. She was very happy laying on that. And I don't even remember if there was any other projects that I'm working on. That's pretty bad, considering. I don't think I have that many projects going. I did not start a new bear this week. I didn't even think about it, actually. Hopefully I'll get another bear started this week and get that going. I did do some spinning, a little bit of spinning this week. We had a a bit of a mishap with the woolly winder this week. And it kind of freaked me out a little bit because that thing is so expensive. And all of a sudden it wasn't, well, it wasn't all of a sudden. The thing was making a clank, clank, clank noise, and Steve says, well, there's got to be a way to fix that. So I gave him the instructions, and there was a little part in there about the clank, clank, clank noise. And he said, okay, I'll take it apart, I'll fix it. So I said, okay, no problem. He took it apart, he put it back together again, and I started to spin on it. And I'm like, well, it's still kind of making that clank clank noise, and it's not drawing in the yarn as I spin it. Even with the break on the bobbin, like, stretched to 1 inch of its life. I said, this is not right. Something is not right. This is not working. And he's like, well, I did everything the same. It's exactly the way it was when I took it apart. And I said, well, I'm not doubting that, but something is not right. So we took it apart again, put it back together, and still it wasn't working right. Well, he called the guy from Woolly Winder, and this was like Saturday night at 7 o'clock at night. And I'm thinking, this guy, he's not going to want to answer a business call at this time of night, even if he does work out of his house or whatever. The guy called us back. Unbelievable customer service. I mean, you cannot ask for better customer service. I mean, literally, my husband made the call, and the guy called him back within maybe 5 minutes, probably less than 5 minutes. And we asked him some questions about it, and we also figured out that the one little thing, there's a little screw that screws in, that actually runs the yarn up and down the winder, and it specifically says in the notes not to tighten it too tight. And he did tighten it a little too tight, so he loosened that up, and that helped the drawing in of the yarn. So that was fixed, thank God, because I could have dealt with the whole clack 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 thing. That didn't bother me. It bothered him more than it bothered me. But the guy from Woolly Winder, he gave us some suggestions on how to find out what is causing the problem. He said start with just the winder and then put the bobbin on and just spin, you know, treadle without actually spinning the yarn. So we did that just to see, you know, tried some different things. And we found out that the bobbin was making the clacking noise. The bobbin was kind of shaking back and forth in the Woolly Winder, which is calling the clack, 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 clack. And the guy had suggested that we put some kind of a grease to fill that in so that the bobbin doesn't move that much. But then as I was working with it, what I did was I would push the bobbin, I would kind of pull the bobbin closer to me so it was up tight against the front of the Woolly Winder, and I would spin and it would be fine. But then eventually it would work its way back and then start clacking again. So my husband ended up getting a washer and putting a plastic washer in between the bobbin and the whorl. Yes. Or just behind the whorl. I think one of those places. It's not, it's just in there. I think it's behind the whorl before it goes into where the, I don't even know the terminology, but anyway, where the winder sticks into the back of the wheel. And it was perfect. No clacking. The winder was drawing in my yarn. It was perfect. I loved it. And then I didn't spin the rest of the week. But it was quite a bit of nervous time there for me, because I was nervous about the fact that here we had the girls from the Knit Away had kind of purchased that for me, and I was like, wow, now what am I going to do? Anyway, so the Woolly Winder is fixed and it's all working, and there's no clack 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 sound. I did, like I said, get a little bit of spinning done on the wheel this week on Viola. Not too much, just a little bit. And I did do, I think I want to say think I did a tiny bit on this yarn hollow as well. I can't really remember. I probably did a little bit of spinning on this while he was messing with the woolly winder, but not too much this week on this either. I made so much progress last week on my spinning, and then I went downhill again. But that is all the spinning. That's it. That's all I've got this week. See, it was a quick show. I am, in addition to my personal goal of working through my stash, I do want to start some kind of monthly, excuse me, finished object thread where you can enter into a drawing, kind of like what Steve at Dramatic Knits is doing. He is doing a monthly, what's he called? Race to the finish is what he's calling his like contest for the month, where every month you post your finished objects in the thread and you'll get entered into a drawing. I think I'm going to do something similar to that because I kind of like that a monthly basis type of thing, you know, to keep it going, keep people, you know, working on their knitting, finishing projects, getting things done. I think I want to add some kind of little twist to it, but I'm not quite sure what kind of twist I want to add yet, but I was hoping to get it started in October. I don't think we're going to do it in October. I think I'll work out the details and we'll start in November. I have a couple of prizes that I can give away, so those will be the first things that go up for grabs in those threads, but I don't know when we're going to start on that. But that will be coming up. Oh, the new logo. You may have seen the new logo on my shirt and on my mug. I have to say that I'm not extremely impressed with Zazzle. And it might be my problem, not theirs. The coloring on the logo, I think that's my problem, is that I just kind of randomly picked a color for my ball of yarn and my other things, and I think that it's probably not an easy color to print, because I don't know how well you'll be able to tell, but the ball of yarn on my shirt is kind of, looks more red, and even on my mug here it looks kind of red. It is pink, my logo is pink, but I think I might need to change the color up a bit. Here's what it looks like on a light colored shirt with black. And I do like it better on this shirt. It's more true to the color. Now, I think it might have something to do with the black shirt, because the feel of this logo feels different than how this one feels. This one's more waxy, whereas this one is smooth, almost like it's part of the shirt. So I think that has a lot to do with it, that the fact that this is on a black shirt and they have to be able to make it stand out. So that's a possibility. And again, it's not, my issue is not with Zazzle itself and how they do their work. It's my issue with the printing. So, but if you choose to get in the mug, I forgot, when I ordered my first mug, I must have chose either right or left. I can't remember. But this time I chose center so that it's in the center of the mug. I should have chose right or left. I was thinking that I chose center last time and I wasn't really paying attention. But I'll just order another mug. Probably going to order a bunch of mugs at some point. I have a couple other places that I can do mugs, so maybe I'll try a different place and order, you know, a dozen or 2 dozen mugs for prizes for the future. But I like how the mug came out. It's still a little bit, the color is a little bit off, but again, that has something to do with me, not the actual printing of it. But you can go to I do have a store set up on Zazzle where you can purchase merchandise. I do get a small percentage as kind of a commission on all purchases. It's not a lot. I want to say it's like 5 or maybe as much as 10%, but I don't think it's that high. And but that will help with, you know, shipping and stuff like that. I've sent out a lot of prizes the first couple months of my show, and most of that money was money that I took out of my pocket. Now, I did have a few generous donations to help with shipping, and that was wonderful, but everything else was out of my pocket too. So, but that's all right. I chose to do that, and so if you don't feel obligated to make a donation or to buy a t-shirt, only do it if you absolutely want to. Because I chose to do the podcast, and I chose to do prize drawings, and I enjoy doing prize drawings. It'll just help out, and I can do more if I have a little help with the shipping costs. So, I think that about covers it for today. It's where another bug. I don't know where that bug came from. Yeah, that's about covers it for today. It was a short episode, and so I hope you can get caught up on other podcasts. I know I've been trying to get caught up on the Podcaster Challenge podcast, and I just haven't watched podcasts this week. I watched a few last week, Saturday evening and Sunday, but I did not watch any this week. And I have a feeling that this coming week at work is going to be a little crazy, because my boss is leaving for 2 weeks to go to Europe. So it's going to be one of those weeks that's stressful, because he knows he's leaving and he's trying to get everything done before he goes. But so there's probably not going to be a lot of knitting and podcasts at work, but you know, it comes with, you know, the good and the bad. So anyway, I hope you guys have a great week, and I hope your knitting blooms this week. Talk to you later. Bye.